the paycheck arrives. For a brief moment, everything feels fine. You check your bank account, see the deposit, and think maybe this month will be different. Maybe this month you'll finally get ahead. But then reality starts moving fast. Rent is due. Utilities come out automatically. The credit card payment hits. Groceries need to be bought. Gas tank needs filling. Insurance gets deducted. A few subscriptions renew. Before you know it, the paycheck that seemed so large just a few days ago is almost gone. Then you spend the next 2 weeks counting down until the next payday arrives. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of Americans live this exact cycle every month. They work hard, earn decent incomes, and still feel like they're running on a treadmill that never stops. This is what many people call the paycheck trap. It's the cycle of earning money, spending money, and waiting for the next paycheck with very little progress in between. And the scary part is that the trap isn't always caused by low income. In many cases, people earning good salaries find themselves stuck in exactly the same situation. So why does this happen? Why do so many people feel like they're working harder than ever while getting nowhere financially? Today we're breaking down the paycheck trap, how it works, why it's so difficult to escape, and what separates the people who break free from the people who stay stuck for decades. The paycheck trap begins before your money even reaches your bank account. Most people focus on their salary, but what really matters is take-home pay. If someone earns $60,000 per year, they don't actually receive $60,000. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance, premiums, retirement contributions, and other deductions remove a significant portion before the paycheck even arrives. The result is that workers often feel like they're earning one number while living on a much smaller number. By the time the money reaches their account, a large chunk has already disappeared. Then comes housing, the single largest expense for most Americans. Whether it's rent or a mortgage, housing often consumes 30, 40, or even 50% of take-home income. In many cities, housing costs have risen dramatically over the past decade. Rent increases have outpaced wage growth in many areas. Home prices have climbed. Mortgage rates have risen. Property taxes continue increasing. The result is that many households start every month with a huge financial disadvantage because such a large percentage of income goes towards simply having a place to live. After housing comes food. Grocery prices have increased significantly in recent years, and most families feel the impact every week. Even simple trips to the grocery store can feel frustrating. A cart that once cost $100 might now cost $150 or more. People often blame themselves for spending too much, but many basic necessities have genuinely become more expensive. Then there are restaurant meals, coffee runs, food delivery services, snacks and convenience purchases. None of these seem like major financial decisions individually, but together they can quietly consume hundreds of dollars every month. Transportation creates another major challenge. Cars are expensive. The monthly payment is only part of the story. There is insurance, fuel, maintenance, repairs, registration fees, parking costs, and unexpected breakdowns. For families with multiple vehicles, transportation expenses can easily become one of the largest categories in the household budget. Healthcare adds another layer of pressure. Even people with insurance often face premiums, deductibles, copays, and prescription costs. Medical expenses can appear suddenly and create financial setbacks that take months to recover from. Then there are all the small recurring expenses that people barely notice anymore. Streaming services, music subscriptions, cloud storage plans, software memberships, delivery services, gym memberships, online subscriptions. Individually, they seem harmless. $10 here, $15 there, $20 somewhere else. But when you add them together, they can quietly drain hundreds of dollars every month. This is one reason why so many people feel like money disappears without knowing exactly where it went. Then there's lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation happens when spending rises alongside income. Most people assume that earning more money automatically solves financial problems. Sometimes it does, but often it simply creates new spending habits. Someone gets a raise and upgrades their apartment. Then they buy a newer car. Then they start taking more expensive vacations. Then they subscribe to additional services. Then they eat out more frequently. Before long, the higher income has been completely absorbed by a more expensive lifestyle. This explains why some people earning six figures still feel financially stressed. They aren't necessarily earning too little. Their expenses have simply expanded to match their income. The paycheck trap doesn't care how much you earn. It only cares about the gap between what comes in and what goes out. Debt makes the situation even worse. Credit card debt, student loans, auto loans, personal loans, and buy now pay later plans all create obligations that must be paid every month. The real problem isn't just the debt itself, it's the interest. Interest payments represent money leaving your pocket without creating any new value. You're paying for money you've already spent. High interest debt can trap people for years because so much of each payment goes toward interest rather than reducing the balance. This creates a frustrating cycle where people make payments month after month while seeing very little progress. Debt doesn't just reduce financial flexibility. It steals future income. One of the most dangerous aspects of the paycheck trap is psychological. Living paycheck to paycheck creates constant financial stress. Every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. A car repair, a medical bill, a broken appliance, a reduction in work hours. Any small disruption can create major problems because there is no financial cushion. This stress affects decision-making. People under financial pressure often focus on immediate survival rather than long-term planning. They become reactive instead of proactive. Saving for the future feels impossible when the present already feels overwhelming. As a result, many people postpone investing, emergency savings, and retirement planning because they believe they'll start later. Unfortunately, later often never comes. This is where the trap becomes self-reinforcing. Because there are no savings, every emergency gets placed on a credit card. Because there is more debt, monthly payments increase. Because monthly payments increase, there is less money available for savings. Because there are no savings, the next emergency creates even more debt. The cycle repeats over and over again. Many people spend years trapped in this pattern without realizing how it developed. The good news is that escaping the paycheck trap doesn't necessarily require a huge salary increase. In many cases, it starts with awareness. The first step is understanding where money is actually going. Most people underestimate their spending. They remember the large expenses but forget the smaller ones. Tracking spending often reveals surprising patterns. Subscription services, convenience spending, impulse purchases, delivery fees, small recurring expenses. These categories rarely seem significant in isolation, but together they can represent a meaningful portion of monthly income. The next step is creating a gap between income and expenses. This gap is the foundation of financial progress. Even a small gap matters. $50, $100, $200. The exact number isn't as important as the habit. The goal is to consistently spend less than you earn. That difference becomes savings. Savings become emergency funds. Emergency funds prevent future debt. Once debt stops growing, financial momentum begins shifting in the right direction. Building an emergency fund is often the most important early milestone. Many financial experts recommend 3 to 6 months of expenses, but the first goal is much smaller. Even $1,000 can prevent many common emergencies from becoming financial disasters. An emergency fund creates breathing room. It transforms unexpected expenses from crises into inconveniences. That psychological shift alone can reduce enormous amounts of stress. After establishing emergency savings, many people focus on reducing high-interest debt. Paying off debt creates guaranteed returns, because every dollar of interest avoided is money kept in your pocket. As debt decreases, monthly obligations shrink. As monthly obligations shrink, cash flow improves. Improved cash flow creates more opportunities to save and invest. Eventually, the cycle begins working in your favor instead of against you. Investing is another critical step. Many people believe investing is only for wealthy individuals, but that's not true. Investing is one of the primary ways ordinary people build wealth over time. The key is consistency. Small investments made regularly can grow into substantial amounts over decades. This is where compound growth becomes powerful. Money invested today has years to grow and generate additional returns. The earlier someone starts, the greater the potential impact. Even modest contributions can become significant when given enough time. Perhaps the most important lesson is that financial freedom isn't usually created by one dramatic decision. It's built through thousands of small decisions repeated consistently over many years. Spending slightly less, saving slightly more, avoiding unnecessary debt, investing regularly, tracking expenses, building good habits. None of these actions seem life-changing on a single day, but together they can completely transform a financial future. The paycheck trap feels permanent when you're stuck inside it, but it isn't. Every person who achieves financial stability started somewhere. Most didn't do it overnight. Most didn't win the lottery. Most didn't suddenly double their income. They simply began creating a gap between income and expenses and used that gap to build assets instead of liabilities. Over time, those assets started working for them. Investments generated growth. Savings provided security. Debt disappeared. Stress decreased. Options increased. The truth is that the paycheck trap isn't just about money. It's about freedom. When every dollar is already spoken for, life feels restricted. Opportunities become harder to pursue. Risks become more dangerous. The future feels uncertain. But when you begin building savings, reducing debt, and growing investments, something changes. You gain options. You gain flexibility. You gain control. And ultimately, that's what financial success is really about. It's not about luxury cars or giant houses. It's about having the ability to make choices without constant financial pressure. The paycheck trap convinces people they're stuck forever. But the reality is that every smart financial decision, no matter how small, moves you one step closer to escaping it. And those small steps, repeated consistently over time, have the power to completely change your future.